you enjoying Cabaret so far? I haven't been in one of these things since I did magic in 6th grade. I think my greatest trick was giving everyone in the audience secondhand embarrassment. Well, my name's Erin, and I'm 16, but I have a 3-year-old brother. And so whenever I'm in public, I get mistaken for a teenage mother. And you know, this may be due to the fact that I resemble my brother more than my parents do, but it may also be due to the fact that I can be heard saying things like, "Don't talk to me that way, mister. I don't know, go ask your father." So the other day I had to go get something from my parents' room, and I walked up to their door and I heard all these kind of weird giggling noises. And so, you know, I've seen the Discovery Channel before. I just closed my eyes and I held my breath and I opened the door, and there they were, sitting in bed, looking up pictures of the NPR news correspondents. This is a prime example of an Irish marriage after menopause. I come from a pretty small Irish Catholic family. You know, my dad only has 7 siblings, so it's not that big. I've been to Ireland twice, which is pretty cool. 3 more times, and I will be an honorary member of the Nichols English department. I'm just hoping I don't lose my punch card. I don't know how familiar you are with Irish people, but if you've ever been to a party and someone starts playing guitar, that person is probably Irish. Like if you go to an Irish family reunion, there's about 500 people there because they're really big. And my dad will start singing Danny Boy, and then a crowd forms, and about 5 guitars come out, people start crying, someone rolls in with an organ, and it's like, "Eileen, get that sad piano out of here." My mom's Polish and they're practical, so their family reunions don't exceed 20 people. I like to call my mother the living midlife crisis because she often changes hobbies and life goals. Like, for example, she got her nose pierced on Thanksgiving, and she recently told me she's planning on purchasing a horse ranch because her psychic told her it would help her energy. If there's one thing I've gotten from my mother, it's probably her picky diet. You know, she can't eat mushrooms or tomatoes, and her steak has to be charred by the flames of hell before she can even consider eating it. And so this one time we went to Waffle House in Georgia. And I don't know how many of you have had the pleasure of eating at such an establishment, but Waffle House is what I like to call vintage. Because nothing at Waffle House has changed since the Carter administration. You know, you walk in there and they're like, "Did you hear about that Iranian hostage crisis? That's crazy, right?" And you're like, "Oh my God, I loved Argo. Isn't that Ben Affleck such a hunk?" And my mom goes in there expecting to be the height of luxury. Because you can always expect a quality meal when your 23-year-old waiter is hitting on your 16 and 14-year-old daughters while they're sitting right next to you. But like, I'm pretty sure she sent her meal back about 5 times. Like, what was she expecting? There's an entire softball team in the corner, and the waitress's name tag says baby girl. This isn't Panera Bread. The only thing you're going to be getting from this restaurant is food poisoning. You know, I think one of the weirdest places to make small talk is the dentist's office. Because you walk in there and the dentist is like looking at your teeth and they're like, "Well, how's school going?" You're like, "Oh, it's great." And they're like, "Well, how's your family?" And you're like, "Well, actually, we've all been exposed to asbestos and our house burned down, so..." And they're like, "Great to hear you're all doing so well." Now back to that cavity. Losing your teeth is such a weird phenomenon. Like, you don't think about it when you're older, but you've lost an entire set of teeth in your lifetime. The first guy to lose a tooth must have been like, "Man, I don't know what to do with all these teeth." Like, and the other guy was like, "Don't worry about it, man. Just sleep on it." He took that literally. It's bizarre to me that we don't question the motives of the tooth fairy. Like, where does she get all her money, and why is she purchasing the teeth of small children? Even the most hardcore black market dealers are like, "Whoa, take a step back and evaluate yourself." I'm not really sure why my hardcore black market dealer kind of sounds like Aziz Ansari mixed with Meghan Trainor, but I guess it's the ones you never suspect, so. You know, the tooth fairy just sounds like a very twisted Scooby-Doo villain. Speaking of Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo is the most unrealistic show on television. I mean, aside from the obvious, and here are my top 3 reasons. Reason number 1, they haven't aged since the beginning of the show. You know, you always hear that teenagers think they're immortal, but this holds true for Mystery Incorporated. They're the kind of people that are still hanging out at Waffle House. Reason number 2, there are no gas prices. You know, they don't make any money from their job, it's a volunteer position. I've made more money playing a game of Clue than they have in the entire run of that series, and yet they still manage to go cross-country in that van every other 2 weeks. But I guess no matter how they make their money, it's probably still more honest than Brian Williams. And my third and final reason. Velma should have been charged with withholding evidence a long time ago. That chick knows too much for her own good. You know, she's like the Martha Stewart of mystery solving. She's the only one that knows what's going on in the end, and she's using it all to her own benefit. Thank you, guys.